How you doing out there, everybody? If there was ever a moment when people who love this country and the people in it need to step up and do everything they can to improve the lives of their fellow Americans, that moment is right now. That moment is now. If I told you you had an opportunity to fight for people who felt vulnerable and scared in this Trump America, would you do it? Yeah. If I told you you had a chance to stand up and fight for working people, would you do it? Yeah. If I told you that you could be the hero of folks who pour the cement, who teach the classes, who take care of the folks in the hospital, you know, the folks who take care of the children, who cook the food, I mean the hardworking people of America, would you step up and do something for them? Yeah. Well, then that's good, because we need you right now to do all of that. Because let me tell you, it's hard to imagine somebody like Donald Trump being elected president. But in a few days, he will be the president. I don't know what stage in the whole spectrum of grief you may be at, but I think we need to arrive at acceptance that he's about to be the president. And that means that each of us and all of us have to do every single thing that we can to protect our fellow Americans and to advance the cause of economic and social justice. We have to do it. This is a history moment. This is a movement moment. And this moment may well be the moment when the American people fought back to reclaim their democracy of, by, and for the people. Now, you know, Trump, you know, he ran saying stuff like, you know, more jobs, new trade model. He said it. He said these things. And as soon as he got in there, he said he was going to drain the swamp. Y'all remember that one? Well, he's filling up with lobbyists, billionaires, corporate executives, hedge fund managers, all these folks. We're going to have the richest cabinet ever. If you just had a few million, you'd be like the poor guy in that bunch. You know, he said he's going to fight for little people, but yet he puts a Secretary of Education, another billionaire, who is against public schools. When 90% of American school children will go to a public school, Betsy DeVos is not in favor of public schools and wants to privatize them. You know, he said he was going to help working people, get his labor secretary, another billionaire, who makes his billions on the backs of low-wage fast food workers, is actually against the minimum wage and would lower it if he could. You know, oh, and don't stop there. He said he was going to improve our health care system, and yet his Health and Human Services Secretary, you know, Tom Price, wants to dismantle the Affordable Care Act, throwing 20 million people off health care. This is the cabinet he's picked so far. He said he was going to appoint the best and most qualified. And yet, Dr. Ben Carson admits he knows nothing at all about housing. He says it. I didn't say it. He said it. So I guess it's no surprise that he nominated a guy who says that there's no such thing as climate change, it's a hoax by the Chinese, to be the head of the Environmental Protection Agency at a time when communities are being washed away because the waves are coming up in Katrina and Sandy and all these kind of places, at a time when people are living in toxic areas all over this country. He picks an EPA leader who is not in favor of protecting people from environmental hazard. So people, we got our work cut out. We got our work cut out for us. You know, he said he would fight for workers, yet Republicans in Congress ended health care for coal miners. They said, you don't, black lung shaft cave-ins, all the hazards of that job, and they're doing that, and he's even attacked. He had the nerve to attack a hard-working steel worker, local president. Y'all heard about that? All this man, Mr. Jones, was trying to do was to say that, look, you know, you say he's saving all these jobs, but you're not saving them all, And you're giving away the tax base of the people of Indiana to do it. Another corporate giveaway and crony capitalism. Even Sarah Palin saw that. Right? So the bottom line is he attacks this man on Twitter, which he likes to do to people all the time. So that's what the right wing is doing. The real question is, what are we going to do? That's always the question, people. What are we going to do? We can always count on them to say that rich people don't have enough money and the poor folks have too much money. We can always count on them to say the rich folks need one more tax cut, one more regulation they don't have to follow, and regular working people need one less thing that's going to help them make it through the week. Okay, so that's them. What about us? Are we going to hit the streets? Are we going to organize? This is what we got to do. And one of the main things we've got to do right now is reset the future of the Democratic Party. We got to reset the Democratic Party on the basis of grassroots activism. We got to reset the Democratic Party on the basis of working people who are striving every single day to make a better life for themselves and their families right here in America. I'm talking about African Americans, white Americans, Latino Americans, Native Americans. I'm talking about Asian Americans. I'm talking about people who are Jewish and Muslim and Christian and Buddhist and Hindu and any or no faith at all. I'm talking about folks. I'm talking about folks like you and me. I'm talking about folks like us need to say that the Democratic Party has got to be democratic, and it starts with getting some leadership in there that's going to fight for that democracy. And I'm telling you right now, guys, this is the moment we have been waiting for. It's the time for us to stand up and fight back and reclaim our nation. Are y'all ready? Now, look, I want to tell you that I am very proud to have your support. And I'm so amazed at the tremendous turnout we have here tonight, here physically, and the folks who are on the live stream. Big shout out to the folks on the live stream. Give yourselves a hand. This moment right here is historic. Literally hundreds of thousands of people join us right here to talk about the future of the Democratic Party and our country. Million people all over this country listening in. And I'm telling you, if the Democratic Party is going to make any reforms, one of them has got to be that we use moments like this one, mass meetings of hundreds of thousands of people to get together to talk about what we're going to do to make our country better for everyone. We got to include everybody, and we should use moments like this and technological moments like this, because basically it's not about the technology and the software, it's about us, the people, and we got to include everybody. And if technology can help us get more folks on the table, well, then let's do it. Y'all all right with that? But I want to say thank you for your support. I want to say thank you to the American Federation of Teachers. These are the folks who teach our kids every day, the folks who give them a shot, the people. You know, I don't know about you, but when I was, and I'm from a big family, and I remember feeling kind of ordinary and not too special, but there was a teacher who said, "Come here, boy, I think you're a smart kid." And a teacher grabbed me and she said, "I know you, stop acting up, because I know you're better than that." She said, "You're just high-spirited. I'm going to give you some extra problems to do because I know you need a challenge." Teachers did that for me. They made me feel good about myself, and they made other kids in my class. And those teachers, they knew which kids were homeless. They knew which kids were being abused at home. They knew what kids need to be challenged a little bit more. They knew the kids who needed to be encouraged a little bit more. God bless those teachers, y'all. Get a hand. Let me say thank you to the communication workers of America. The communication workers, you know, the people who make sure that when you call, that call gets answered and the phone works. Thank you, CWA. Bless you guys. Move on. Give a hand to Move On, everybody. Let me tell you, thank you to Democracy of America, DFA. Awesome. Also, the AFL-CIO. That's the largest organization of workers in America. Steelworkers, IBEW, United Nurses, and more and more and more. Don't be mad if I didn't mention you. I love you, and I thank you, and we all got to be working together. So give a hand to everybody. You know, let me tell you something. The Democratic Party should be the party of the people. The Democratic Party should be the party for those who want a better future for their children and grandchildren. It should be a party that invests in workers, protects their ability to organize, and fights for a fair wage and good working conditions. The Democratic Party should be a party that believes everyone should have equal access to the American dream and equal rights before the law. The Democratic Party should say, it doesn't matter what your color is. We're going to treat you with fairness and equality and respect. It doesn't matter who you love and go to bed with at night. It doesn't matter who your closest of kin is. They are your choice, and we respect and honor that choice. That's who the Democratic Party should be. The Democratic Party should say, whether you were born in America or whether you came here, we respect you, we honor you, and we want to see your families come together. The Democratic Party should be that party. We believe that the Democratic Party should be the party of, by, and for the people. Yes. And yet, we know that even a good car sometimes needs a tune-up. You know what I mean? Even a good car needs a tune-up. It needs new wheels, new brake pads, new belts, new hoses, new oil. Needs new spark plugs, maybe needs a paint job. Needs to get that window that's been cracked fixed, you know. You got to maintain and update and invigorate everything. If you just let it slide, it tends not to work so well. Well, now, I know some folks don't want to hear it. But since 2008, Democrats have lost 935 legislative seats, and Republicans now control 2/3 of governor's office. And let me tell you, state legislature is very, very important. That is where our voting rights are made. If you got same-day voter registration like you do in Minnesota, it's because the state says so. If you have a lifetime ban on voting, if you have a felony, like they have in Florida, it's because the state says so. If you can vote, if you never lose your right to vote, like they have it in Vermont and Maine, that's because the state says so. How is it impacting the American people's right to fully participate in democracy when 935 legislative seats in state legislatures have been lost to Democrats? How has it infected redistricting? How has it infected the right to vote and cast a ballot and be a part of this democracy? It has devastated us. How has it affected a woman's right to choose? In Ohio, Governor Kasich has said he has a 20-week ban on the right for a woman to select abortion if that's her choice. Let me tell you something. This is none of his business. It's unconstitutional. But he did it because he wants a constitutional challenge, because he wants the case to go up there, because he wants to see the Supreme Court strip away a woman's right to make decisions for her family and herself and her body. And this is something we have got to take very seriously, but it's going on at the state. 11 governor seats lost. You know what? Raising the minimum wage is winning on ballot initiatives, but Democrats aren't winning. They like our ideas, but somehow our candidates aren't getting through. We need a retool. You know, let me tell you, I don't recommend folks smoke marijuana, but I tell you this, it is crazy to throw people in jail for it. And when you see that all over the country, these ballot initiatives are passing it, right, for medical and even recreational use, why fill up the jails for something like that? That doesn't make no sense at all. I'm running for DNC chair because it's time to turn all of this stuff around. It is time, and all of us have to step up, each of us. No DNC chair, no president, no elected official can make the changes that have to be made. They're going to have to be made by the thousands, millions of Americans all across this country who believe in a better quality of life for all people, who believe in the equality of all people, who believe in a fair economy, who believe that people ought to have the right to choose and make their own personal decisions, who believes that climate change is going to destroy this world for our ability to live on it unless we do something right now. Yeah. This is what we've got to do. But I want to say that we can bring that change that we need. We can stand up to Trump and the Republicans if we get involved and if we remake this party right now. I want to tell you this. I am a person who believes in unity. I do absolutely thank the folks who've been around for a long time and honor their institutional memory and thank them for their service. But I also believe that it is absolutely time for a very serious injection of energy and reinvigoration. These two things don't need to be at odds. These things actually, if they work together, can serve us all very, very well. We need the new energy. We need the folks who've been around. We need some unity to come together, and I stand for that unity. In fact, I tell you what, I went to Nevada to help people who were supporting my dear friend Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton, and sat in a room for 5 hours as they hammered out a memorandum of understanding so that they could somehow try to work together. But that's the kind of thing. Unity is something that must be fought for. It's something that must be struggled for, because we all have our ideas about how things should go. So we need leadership who's going to say, we're going to stick together and stay together and hammer it out and maybe cuss each other out a little bit. But at the end of the day, we're going to come out holding hands and being a team. This is the kind of thing we got to have. So we believe in unity. I also believe that we got to stand up tall for small. Now, what do I mean by that? You know, absolutely, Howard Dean was right to say the 50-state strategy, but we got to go beyond that now, guys. We need a 3,141 county strategy. We need a strategy that gets granular. We need a block by block. We need a precinct strategy. We need a strategy that gets right down to the nitty-gritty, because you know what? The resources of the Democratic Party need to be moved right down closest to the voter. That's where they need to be. I'm talking about the money, the training, the data, the resources need to be to the people closest to the voter. But I can tell you, city officials and state legislative folks and local county people and just grassroots rank and file do not feel like they are being heard or listened to or included. This is a fact. I'm just telling the truth. And if we want to win, we will listen to our local officials and our grassroots rank and file people. We got to get small. I already mentioned to you, we have got to communicate. We got to use live streaming like we are right now, and this has got to be our regular practice. If we're not talking and listening, we are not going to be able to take everything that everybody knows and put it in service of all of us. All of us together are smarter than any one of us. But if we don't share information and access, we cannot make maximum use of all of the intelligence and creativity that people are coming up with every day. But I will mean that we will do these things. We will make use of the talents that we have available to us, so abundant, if only we would let go of our need to control everything and hand over the power to the people closest to the voter, Now, you know, my home state of Minnesota, I am so proud that I come from a state, and I know you guys are proud of your state too, but there was a man named Hubert H. Humphrey, and he said in 1948, Hubert Humphrey is worth an applause, y'all. Hubert H. Humphrey, he said in 1948 at the Democratic National Convention in Philadelphia, he said that America needed to walk out of the shadow of states' rights into the bright sunshine of human rights. And when the Democratic Party stood up for human rights for all, some people, like Strom Thurmond and others, they walked out the door because they didn't want human rights for all. The Democratic Party must always be a party that says that we stand for the respect and dignity of all people. We must always be that party. We will never stop being that party. But when Walter Reuther said, when Walter Reuther was the former who spoke at the 1963 March on Washington, which was not only for civil rights but for jobs as well, when Walter Reuther of the UAW, he got up there and said, the bread box, he said that there's a direct line between the bread box and the ballot box. He was right too, wasn't he? So yes, we got to fight for economic justice. Yes, we got to make sure that prosperity for working people is available to them and that they have it. We don't need to decide between social justice and economic justice. We got to have all of that justice together, do we not? You know, I've heard people talk about The white working class versus the rising new American electorate. Well, let me tell you something. We got to stand for both. We got to stand for all. We can never sacrifice between the two. We've got to stand up for each one. And let me tell you, if we don't stand up for both, we're not going to have neither one. Because they would, let me tell you, because they will use tribalism and racial manipulation to lower our wages. Once they get us fighting with each other on the basis of these things, they're always going to come take the money. You know, let me tell you, Ronald Reagan went to Philadelphia, Mississippi, and gave a speech about states' rights. This is where Swerner, Cheney, and Goodman were killed and buried. And he used racial manipulation to stir them folk up. And then after he gets in, he does what? Fires the air traffic controllers and really begins a period of wage stagnation in America. So when you use racial manipulation to divide people, invariably you use it to suppress everyone's wages. You understand what I'm saying? So we've got to stay together. So let me tell you, we have also got to turn out the vote. We have got to turn out the vote, people. We have seen in 2014, we saw a 70-year low in voter turnout. And we have the smallest House caucus that we've had since Truman. In 2016, over 90 million eligible voters did not vote. We say we're only going to campaign in the swing states, and we're only going to go to the likely voters. And we leave literally millions of people not participating. And when we do that, we leave ourselves to lose Wisconsin, which is a blue state. We leave ourselves to lose Michigan, which is the home of the UAW, and we leave ourselves to lose Pennsylvania. But we also lose Ohio. No way we should lose Ohio. And we also lose Florida. And we lose these states that we should win because we have this strategy that we only going to talk to certain people. What if we started talking to everybody? What if we talk to everybody? Let me tell you this. I want to say this to you. There's a word that I would like us to banish from our vocabulary. I'm going to say it now because I want you to know what word it is. But can we not say Rust Belt anymore? Look, I'm from Minnesota. I don't feel rusty. You know what I'm saying? I guarantee the people in Ohio and Pennsylvania don't feel rusty. They feel ready to go and to move out and to bring back this country. And I'm going to tell you, this is the industrial Midwest. That's what it is. It's the industrial Midwest. And I'm going to tell you something else. Places like Washington, D.C., and New York and California, they should not be viewed by Democrats as just a political ATM. As a matter of fact, they're not just places where you go get a check. They have done really good things out there in California on climate, on criminal justice, and we ought to look at them as a model of how to organize. We need to stop looking at each other and segmenting each other and see each other as true allies of each other to rebuild this party. So I just want to say to you, and I want to say to you right now, we've got to energize activists at the grassroots and unite all throughout this country. We've got to give Black Lives Matter people a place where they can express themselves electorally. You know what I'm saying? We've got to give the Fight for 15. Fight for 15. They've got to be able to, the Fight for 15, we've got to give them a party that they feel good about expressing themselves electorally. The immigration activists have got to have a place where they feel that there's a party that's listening to them. We've got to have a place for the folks who fight for climate justice and addressing climate, to have a place where they have a party that they can support this party and they know that that party is listening to them. But if you want these things, we're going to have to fight for them. We're going to have to fight for them. I just want to say to you that we are off to a good start because Senator Bernie Sanders and Secretary Clinton combined to write the best platform the Democratic Party has ever seen. I'm telling you. I was privileged and honored to have Bernie appoint me to the platform drafting committee. And let me tell you, good things came out of it. Because of that collaboration and that unity, we got groundbreaking language in the platform on college debt, on apprenticeship programs for students who don't want to go to college but who want to get a good job and work with their hands, on expanding Social Security, expanding it, bigging it up, right? On the Fight 15, on the death penalty, on high environmental standards. We got the best platform we've ever had. We've got to use it to move forward. We can organize with this very important tool. And I just want to say that if you will take up this battle and you will pledge to yourself and each other that your love for this country outweighs any beef you may have with anyone, if you will promise to yourself that you will work hard every single day to make this Democratic Party really work for the people, then we are not only looking at victory in 2018 and redistricting in 2020, we are looking at a generation full of successful working people. Republicans in 1964 thought that they were at the bottom and they were down and out. People said conservatism was dead as a philosophy because Goldwater lost to Johnson in a historic number. And yet those guys, they're so committed to making themselves more money and excluding people that they climbed back and they won, and then they won some more. And in 1980, they culminated in the election of Ronald Reagan. I'm telling you, I don't want to be like them. I don't believe what they believe, but I will say I do admire determination when I see it. And you and I better have the same level, if not more determination, for working people. Now, let me just say this. Let me say this, and then I just want to tell you some things I want to ask you to do, then I'm going to stop talking. I just want to say this. As Democrats, liberals, progressives, the left, we stand for the right values. We stand for the right values. And I think that because we stand for the right values, we think that's all we have to do is stand for the right values. The people on the right, they know that the program they're pushing is only going to benefit about 1% of the people. But they still live in a democracy, so they have to figure out a way to win, even if they only stand for 1%. So they must divide. They must distract. They must make you disunified and discouraged. They want to discourage you. And they work at it all the time. So they're pushing photo ID laws. So they're trying to hold your wages down. They're trying to break up the right to organize. They're trying to get people to feel that government just doesn't work and it can't do anything good. They're always on this. We have got to understand that just being right is not enough. We've got to be unified. We've got to be active. We've got to be fighting together. We've got to be pushing the right program. We've got to strengthen and unify at the grassroots level. And we need a Democratic Party that's going to help us do that. That's what we got to have. So if you're ready to do those things, we are ready to win. Now, I need to ask you to do just a few things. Will you consider doing some things here? One is Bernie said, and can we just thank Bernie Sanders one more time? Thank you, Bernie Sanders. Thank you. Bernie said that we need to sign those petitions. We absolutely got to get 1 million signatures, okay? Can y'all help us do that? That means you gotta get on Twitter, you gotta get on Facebook, you gotta get on Hustle, you gotta get on whatever it is to get on, and get us those 1 million. Can you help us get those 1 million signatures on that petition? If there are DNC members in your state, gently and politely tell them that you would like them to support Ellison for DNC chair. There you go. And just tell them that you, as a supporter of the party, would like to see Ellison as the DNC chair. Just let them know how you feel. Now, don't be too hard on them, okay? Just, you know what I mean? But let them know how you feel now. Also, we need to be doing meetups all over this country. Invite folks to your home, 7 or 8 people, and just talk about what our country really needs and what y'all can do together on the local level to do it. I'm talking about meetups where people can meet like once a month, get some cookies, tea, coffee, whatever y'all like, and just say, you know what? What if we did this? Or what if we did that? And then maybe you could have a listening session to really feel how people are doing. Here's the other thing. There's a lot of folks who voted Obama, Trump. Don't reject them. Ask them, what are you thinking about? How do you feel now? Are you willing to work with us now? Did he disappoint you, or do you still feel satisfied? Because I'm going to tell you, there's a whole lot of folks that after they lose that health care, they're going to be a little bit annoyed. But don't push them away. Bring them in, right? Be kind, right? But bring them in. And the last thing I want to ask you to do is just understand that there's a lot of folks who might have their family roots south of the border, and a guy who just got elected said, build a wall. These people need our support. These are our brothers and our sisters, and we can't let them feel vulnerable and afraid. A dear friend of mine said to me recently that she was called to a meeting with her friend, and they were sitting at the kitchen table, and she brought her little 5-year-old daughter with her, and she's like smart as a whip. You know them little 5-year-old girls who, you know, they're a pistol, right? And my friend told me that her friend said to her, if me and my husband are picked up and deported, you know, Juanita is born in America. She's a citizen. Would you take care of her? You understand? Think about having that conversation. That's real for a lot of people. There's other people who were told that they were going to be banned from immigrating here based on their religion. People who are Muslim. Be a friend. There are people who are gay, lesbian. There are people who are, the anti-Semitism has really popped up. You know, you got these people with the swastikas, all kinds of ugly stuff. You got to stand with everybody who is feeling vulnerable right now, because one of the things that Trump has uncorked is that hate machine. And we have got to resist it, stand up against it, and our best weapon against it is our own solidarity. Let's remake the Democratic Party, everybody.